AWS dashboard has come. And right now, it says recently visited is IAM. I'm going back to the IAM. And there are security recommendations. Again, it is the same thing. And if you look at the IAM resources in this AWS account, it is related to the account. Are there any user groups? No. Are there any users created? No. No policy is defined and no identity providers. But there are two roles that has been defined. All this, whatever you are seeing here is part of here as well. So root access management, account settings. You want to create users, you can create users, you can create roles. Already there are two roles. If you click here, it will show you what are all the two roles. These two roles are created by default. AWS service role for support and AWS service role for trusted advisor. These two are created by default. Will I be able to delete them? Delete is not activated. So these two roles I will never be able to delete. Okay. And it also provides you reports. Access analyzer, resource analysis, unused accesses, analyzer settings, whatever. You wanted to set it in the analyzer, we can set it here in the analyzer settings. And this is going to work for us 24/7. This IAM is going to work on behalf of our account 24/7, and we can access this report anytime. So let me go back to the dashboard. And if I want to create users, I can go here and create a user. And the moment you create a user, you can also tell what is the groups they belong to. Last activity, you'll get a report, MFA, enabled or disabled. Password age, there is a password policy. So as part of the policy settings, we can also set password policy as well. If you set every 90 days, the password needs to be changed. All the users will be forced to change their password every 90 days. And what should be the construct of the password? Yeah, normal password policy, it's available. Access key ID, active key age, ARNs, and signing certificates. The moment you create user, you can also assign certificates to the user. Okay, fair enough. Now let me go back to the IAM dashboard. And we will get some tools here. So here, quick links, my security credentials, basically to manage my access keys, multi-factor authentication, and other credentials. And I have a policy simulator. The policy simulator evaluates the policy that we have laid off. And it also determines the effective permissions for each of the actions that we specify. Suppose if you are specifying it, it validates. The most important feature here is, especially in security perspective, it validates whatever we provide. So now you can think, right, how much Amazon has worked in the background to create all these tools. All these are small tools. There are thousands of tools like this which they have developed, and they made sure that all those tools are API based so that it can self-service itself. And additional informations are available for you. You can go to the IAM documentation. I recommend all of you to go through this documentation as far as IAM. You can download it as a PDF, but there is no point in downloading because there are live updates that happens in the document. So it is always prefer to read it online. So why should I use IAM? What is an IAM? Identities, access management, service availability, service cost information, and whatever services that you wanted to integrate IAM with. So to do all these things, and you can go page by page, you can read everything, whatever is available in the documentation. And what we have seen is how IAM works. And this is what we understood just few moments before. And very elaborated documentation. As and when we are covering topics, I will also point you to the documentation pages. So please spend your weekday. Uh, I would request you to spend at least 30 minutes a day. It doesn't require more effort, but it requires a consistent effort. Just block 30 minutes a day and just flow with what we are covering. And I'm also going to provide you the questions that you need to prepare. Those are all preparation questions. Don't even think that those are all tests, those are all quizzes, those are all riddles to test your knowledge. No, those are all preparation questions. You have to use those preparation questions to dig for information and prepare answers in your own words. And the best place to dig information is AWS documentation. Nothing can replace AWS documentation itself. So flow is very much important. I'm going to keep the flow in two objectives. One is for your knowledge, second is for your preparation. So now this documentation is huge. It's ocean. So you should not get deviated from your objective. You can easily get deviated because there are so many links available. Authorization policies in AWS organization. So you understand this first before even clicking on this link. And when you're going to a link, come back to this page and continue. Don't jump from there. That's one way that you can ensure that you are not lost in the ocean. Suppose if I'm reading this and I just wanted to know how authorization and permission policies are created using the JSON documents, all I can do is I can just right click new tab. Don't disturb this page. Go here, overview of JSON policies. You just read, but don't jump from here. If you want to jump, just keep a tab of it that you need to come back to this page. And this is what I meant by the JSON format. So this is a policy template. We can have multiple policies in a single policy statement. So now this actually tells that the multi-factor authentication is present for that particular user. So SID is basically the identified number, effect is allow, action is IAM change password. This is the second statement, list all my buckets. Third statement, allow, list and get. A resource, you have to replace this with your own resource. So examples of JSON policies is this, the version of the policy, and you can change this. This is a template, that's all. Basically, our policy is constructed with a statement that has parameters of effect, action, and which resource. So now this action that is listing bucket of resource S3 is allowed for this resource. Even you can restrict the resource. You cannot allow the resource to access all the S3 buckets. You might have 100 buckets for your organization, but the user may not require access to all. Here you can give the resource list. So this is resource-based policy. And then you have the next common policy. And the basic policy in which AWS works is grant least privilege. Actually, it is zero privilege. From there, you have to grant. But at least you follow the least privilege granting policy. And then you increase wherever required. And how to do that is something that we are going to see. But I want you to go through these documents. Once you are done, please do not click OK, access control list, let me go on. No, close this and come back from where you have clicked it and then move ahead. This way, if you are going to use this AWS documentation, believe me, it will be a great effort and it will be a very, very fruitful effort as well. Okay, now let me go back to the dashboard. Now I don't have any users, anything. Suppose if I go to here, the policy simulator, it is opening in the another tab. It's not opening in the same tab. This is the default behavior of AWS console. So there are no users associated with this account. So unless we have an user, we will not be able to run a simulation, but still select a user to stimulate. If you have a user, then you can run the simulation and understand what are all the permissions, privileges a user has. The simulator will help you to understand. Based on your what you see from the simulation result, you can go ahead and modify your policy for the user. So, any queries, any questions until now? Are we good?
So Sundar, how is a policy different from, let's say, role?
Okay. Role is something that we are defining and granting. So we are telling that the user will be able to create users. That's the role. So creation of user is a role, but how many users or what type of users that user will be able to create, that we will define in the policy. So we will grant using the policy, sorry, we will grant using the role, but we will restrict the grant using the policy. So user will be able to create users, fair enough. But we will use the policy to say 5 users they can create. So user management is what I'm granting. But in the policy, I can say they'll not be able to create user, but they'll be able to maintain the current users. That I will mention it in the policy. While granting, I'll grant user management, but I'll restrict only for the current users in the policy. So policy is going to tell what is the effect. The effect is not told in the role. Role is only a definition. It is something similar to you're traveling in a bus and there is a bus service. This bus is going to go to Goa and it is going to start at 11 a.m. Its definition, that's the role of the bus. The bus is supposed to travel between Bangalore and Goa on a daily basis, starts from Bangalore at 11 a.m. That's the role of the bus. But what is a policy? I will list out all the policies on how it is going to run. What is policy? Sorry, what is the role and how is the policy? So now the bus is scheduled to start at 11 every day from Bengaluru to Goa. This is what is the role of that bus. Now I can put policies. You can reserve 3 days prior to the travel for this bus. Payment is accepted using 1, 2, 3 modes. Travelers will be allowed only if they have a valid ticket. We will provide refreshments at the time of start, and the bus will stop. We'll have only two stops, one at this time and another at this time. And it will reach Goa in 17 hours. This is the policy. But what is the role? Bus is going to fly between Bengaluru and Goa every day. So does that help you to understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So role is you are granting, policy we use it for restriction. Cool. Any other queries, questions before we move ahead? From anyone? Okay, cool. Now, how can I go back to my dashboard? I can go back to my dashboard. I can click here. It'll go to IAM and it'll display the same IAM dashboard. I can click here. It goes to the IAM dashboard. The recommendations, if I want to add MFA, I can go ahead and add MFA for this account. Let me add it. This is the third factor of authentication. So device name, I'll just say my iPhone. Okay. Is it a passkey or a security or an authenticator app? Basically, authenticate using a code generated by an app installed on your mobile or device computer. So, or if I have a token, TOTP token, then I can choose that token and it will get associated with this account. And this is how, whenever you are getting a username for your cloud from your organization, and if they provide you a hardware token or if they ask you to install an authenticator app, they will give you all the information. Okay, use this token. Whatever token it displays whenever you press this button, provide that information for MFA. So I'm going to choose authenticator app, which is available in my iPhone. So set up the device. So authenticator, install a compatible application such as Google Authenticator, Duomo, or Athi app on your mobile device. See a list of compatible applications. If you want to, you can observe that it is opening up in a new window. So there are apps that are available. If it is an iOS, Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator, Symantec VIP, everything. So let me close this. This is what I was mentioning. You should have this practice. Once the job is done, close it. Now show the QR code. I can do this. I'll just open my Authenticator app. Okay, cool. So now I just scanned it. So now it is asking me to enter a code from your virtual app below. So first time we have to give two consecutive codes. So I'm just going to give the first code that is coming up in my authenticator. I'll wait for the second code refresh, and then I'll give that code for this, and that is this one. And you can have multiple accounts for a single authenticator app in your phone. I just gave, if both of them are correct, then it will enable the MFA. Now it is enabled. So now an account is created. So actions, update account name, because it was showing some percentage. So I'm just going to, okay. So now it is still showing that percentage. Okay, fine. See here, turn on multi-session support. I have not, only one session at a time is what I have allowed. So you can understand how far they have thought through and they have written, enabled the options, which is very friendly for the user. Okay, cool. Now let me come back here. Let me close this. Let me come back here. Security credentials I've done. This also is done, so I'll close this. Now I'll come back to here. So now let me refresh. The security recommendation should disappear and it says root user have active access keys and root user has MFA as well. So I can click here. I can look for recently visited console home. And this is my home. And if I look at it, there are no cost because there's nothing. Other notifications past 7 days. Basically, this could be the notification that I have signed up for the account. So account customer verification success. So if I click here, it will say, yes, it is successful. So now I can click here, recently used console home, and I can go back to the console home. Every service has, even the health dashboard has its own home page. Every service that you are seeing here has its own home page. Okay, cool. Now we understand that there are 38 regions, but do we get all the regions listed here for us? No, only 17 regions are 17 regions that are not enabled for this account. If we click here to enable a region, click on the manage regions and then we can think. And there are no local zones also available in this list. If you want to enable, you can manage your local zones and you can enable the local zones for this account. So this is, if you look at it, these are all the local zones that are available for this region. Suppose if I wanted to know the local zones of Mumbai, that is Asia Pacific 2, select the region, it is loading. So there are two local zones available. One is in Kolkata and another one is in Delhi. Okay. So if I want to go back, I can choose the region wherever we want to provide the resource. So now let me go back EC2. So EC2 dashboard. So there is a security group that has been created by default. Otherwise, there are nothing running. So $100 is the credit I have, and 181 days is remaining, expiring on February 28. Now I can go ahead and launch an instance. Now with this account setup, I can create an virtual machine and it will get it done within minutes. And we can also access it using the remote login and you can start using that server. So within 10 minutes, you will get a server, which normally takes 90 days, 180 days if it is a bare metal. From the time you decide till the time you get the server for your use, it would be like a minimum of 90 to 180 days. Okay. And not only launching an instance, I can also migrate a server. Suppose if I have a server in the on-prem, and if I want to migrate it, I can use migration API of the AWS and I can migrate that server to cloud. So before getting into any of those tasks, so if you look at it from the zones perspective, zone is nothing but availability zone. These are all the zones that has been enabled. If you want to enable additional zones, we can, but if you look at it, there are 6 availability zones for this Northern Virginia region. So if I select Mumbai, we will also get to know the zones that are enabled and available. So there are 3 zones: AP South 1A, AP South 1B, and AP South 1C. AP South 1 is Mumbai, right? Yeah, it is. So apart from that, you have all Asia Pacific, South, Northeast, Southeast. Okay, cool. Now you have 3. If you want to enable additional, yes, we can. We can enable additional availability zones. What is the role of this? Whenever you are going to create a resource, then it will ask you, do you want to use all the availability zones, or do you want to use only one availability zone? That is something it will ask us and we need to confirm. So what is the best practice? The best practice is to choose at least more than one zone to host our resources. So that will help us, okay, in case if something goes wrong in that particular availability zone, at least the another zone will still respond. It's just a replica. It will replicate among the availability zones. Okay, now I can ask it to launch an instance. Okay, cool. So when I do the launching an instance here, the first thing it says that what should be the name of the server. Let me give my first VM. Let that be the name of the server. It says that what is the operating system that you want to run, and along with the operating system, any other application that you want to run. What are all applications and operating systems are available? There are thousands of application and OS images are available to us. And whatever here is been displayed is only the quick start. So basically it shows the operating system that is being used regularly by AWS customers. So if I want to run a Microsoft Windows operating system, then I can choose this. And here it is telling Microsoft Windows Server 2025 base. It's free tier eligible. That means if I'm using this operating system, it will get detected from the credit what I have received. Okay, cool. And how much it will show here. Actually, there are no charges for this, but all are free tier eligible if you look at it. But suppose if you are going to use Microsoft Windows Server 2022 with SQL Server standard, that is not free tier eligible. That means this will get charged. This will not get adjusted with our credit, but this will start charged to our credit card directly. So whichever is free tier eligible, if you choose, then it will get adjusted with your credit. Okay, cool. So I can come back and whatever I wanted to use, I can just select this. Let me choose Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the operating system. If I want to install, it is free tier eligible. Which one? 24.04 lifetime support. And this is the operating system image that it is going to use when it brings up the virtual machine. The architecture that it is going to use is x86 64-bit operating system, and it is going to create a name, username Ubuntu. Okay, cool. And the instance type. So one, we gave the name. Number two, we informed what operating system and if any additional applications required. And the third, it is asking what type of server do you want to run. this operating system. Now you have to select the instance. This is virtual machine instance. So instance type t3.micro. Okay, fine. What are all options I have? I do have T3 small. I do have, this is also free tier eligible. But if you look at the cost, if you are going to use Ubuntu Pro base pricing is $0.08 per hour. So if you're using for 10 hours, it will be 0.8. For 100 hours, you have to pay $8. So that's the charge. If you look at, if you're using Red Hat Enterprise Linux, the hourly charge is this. If you're going to use on-demand Linux, base price is 0.084. So what is this on-demand Linux base pricing? That's nothing but the Amazon machine image. So let me choose whatever it has suggested. I'm not going to change the instance type. And it says, do you want to use a key pair to securely connect to your instance? Yes, I want to. Are there anything? No, proceed without a key pair. It is not recommended, but it is the default value, though it is not recommended. So I'm just going to ask it to create a new key pair. So give the name SD key. I want an RSA encrypted private and public key. And I want to, if I create a .pem, then I can use it with OpenSSH. But if you want to use it with PuTTY, then you need to create .ppk file. When prompted, store the private key in a secure and accessible location on your computer. You will need it later to connect to your instance. Because whatever key that it is going to get created here, that needs to remotely log into the instance. Okay, create a key pair. I want it to create. So it has downloaded sdkey.ppk. Now keys also have created. It is asking network. So basically, from the virtualization perspective, there are four key things. One is compute, second is storage, third is network, fourth is database. Now we are speaking about network settings for this virtual machine. So are there any existing security group? What is a security group? It is set of a firewall rules that control the traffic for your instance. I can add rules to allow specific traffic to reach our instance. So only if you have a group, then you will be able to set the firewall rules. By default, it will allow SSH traffic from anywhere because we have created the key pair. In case if you have not created the key pair, then it will not allow this also. Now I want to run a web server on this. So let me allow HTTP traffic to this. If I don't allow HTTP, even though if I have set the web service in this particular virtual machine, it will not be allowed. It will not be accessible. So let me allow HTTP also. So here rules with secure will allow all IP addresses to access your instance. That means from anywhere you can access, but to use it, you have to authenticate. So next is storage. So first is name of the server, second is operating system, third is type of server, fourth is network, basically creating a security group and setting rules. And the fifth is storage, how much space you want. By default, it says 8 GB. Okay. If I 8 GB of storage, that means hard disk will be created in this virtual machine. So let me not change that. Let me go ahead with whatever it is suggesting. Let it install with 8 GB RAM. And then advanced details. In this advanced details, it asks you whether you want to connect it to another directory. If so, you can put everything. Termination protection. It cannot be terminated by anybody. If you are enabling the termination protection, then you are supposed to authenticate yourself before you terminate this resource. So I'm not modifying any of the advanced features. I'll just leave it as is. And then I'll just reviewing here on the right hand side how many instances you want. I have not mentioned anything until now, but I have a choice to mention it now. So can I go ahead and create two virtual machines at a time? Yes. You can also create 200 virtual machines at a single instance. Okay, let me give only one. So it's basically Ubuntu operating system, which is going to run in T3 micro instance type. This is the server type. Simply you can understand the hardware configuration is what virtual server type means. Firewall, yes, new security group to be created, and we have mentioned what all are to be allowed. And there's going to be only one volume of 8 GB, and I'm clicking launch an instance. The moment I click launch an instance, you can see the status, what all it is. It has successfully initiated a launch of instance. It has initiated. Now, if I go back to the instances, I should be able to see my first virtual machine. Currently, the instance is it in the running status, and then it is checking the status, health check. That is still being initialized. So we will come back to this later. Availability zone, AP South 1B. So this has gone to AP South 1B availability zone. It's a single zone. I have not mentioned the multiple zones. That you will mention it in advanced features. I have selected only one availability zone because the server is not so critical. Why I have to pay extra? Okay, cool. The public IP address is here. This is the public IP address, and we can copy this and open it in the browser, and we can try to access public DNS. This is the DNS. If you give directly in the browser, it will come. Instead of accessing through the IP, we can access through public DNS as well. Okay, and VPC ID. If we are not creating a virtual private cloud, that means a network for ourselves, it is going to add the resource to the default network ID, that is VPC ID, and then bring up the resource there. So which VPC it is going to use? It is going to use this virtual private cloud. This is the default VPC that got created at the time of account creation. So is monitoring enabled? No, it is disabled. Platform details, Linux or Unix. Launch time, less than a minute. So this is my instance. Now, will I be able to access this using PuTTY? Yes, we can. Let us go ahead and see the instance details as such. So we can connect to the instance. We can connect through EC2 instance connect itself. Connect using the public IP. And the public IP is this. Username to use is Ubuntu. And if you connect, now this is establishing a connection to the virtual machine that we have created. And this, if you look at it, you got it. You have got the console here. This is the Linux machine. So if you type the host name, it is working. I can see what is there in cat etc hosts. Okay, cool. If you remember, we have also enabled. This is accessing that VM using the console itself. And can I access everything? Yes, you can access everything here. So I've become root. So by default, it has given sudo access to the Ubuntu user. So I become root. I can do anything. Whatever I would like to install, I'll be able to install. Do I have curl? No, there is no curl. The curl is there. It is asking if you want, you can access this. Okay, cool. Now we had enabled access for the port 80 and port 443. First, let us try to access this port 80 because we will see is it really running now. We have enabled access. Enabling access is different from actual application running. It just could not connect to the thing. So suppose if I enable port 80 and run an application, then obviously I'll be able to access the application at port 80. Now I can use this virtual machine to install Tomcat and enable it, and we can access it. And we can also install Tomcat using, or we can also install HTTPD so that the port 80 gets opened up and so that we can access it. So in a Linux environment, how can we, I'm a root user, I can. Do I have APT? Yes, it is available. It's a command line tool. It's a command line package manager tool, wherein using this we'll be able to install applications. So now let me say apt install. Don't ask for any confirmation and install Tomcat. It says it is not able to find Tomcat. Unable to locate the package. Okay. HTTPD. There is no installation. So then how am I going to install? Now I have an option here. I can install Apache 2 or I can also install NGINX. These two options I have. That's what it is suggesting. Okay, cool. Let me install apt install -oi. Let me say NGINX. Failed to fetch. No IP found. So which region I'm using? I'm using Mumbai, I guess. Let me change to Virginia. And let me see if it is able to. It is re-establishing the connection. Failed to connect to your instance now. Because my instance is running in Mumbai. So if I go back to the Mumbai, it is trying to re-establish the connection. So you can see now I'm able to access this. So how secured it is? You can't access your virtual machine instance, though you have logged in as the same account. It is the root account, but I'm not able to access this virtual machine, which is in a different region. So now, how do I handle this? Okay, perfectly fine. I know that I can access this using the private IP address. So now let me close this and let me also come out of this. It's trying to log out, so it is logged out. This is actually, this is something which is a CLI. Okay, cool. So I can go back. I can say EC2 virtual clouds. There is one instance running, dashboard. There is one instance running. There is one key pair available. And if you look at here, the status 3x3 checks passed. So there is a verification system that they have for every resource that we are using. It will bring up the resource, and once the resource is up and running, it is going to do the status check in the background. If at all there are any alarms, we will be able to view the alarms here. And this is the public IP address it has. So now I can say connect. I can say, let me copy this. And I can use putty. So let me stop sharing this. Let me give the authentication information, credentials, browse,
So
SD.
sorry to interrupt.
Yes, please.
This putty or putty, this one we need to install as a application.
Yeah, in case if you do not have it,
Okay.
you can install. It is available for multiple operating systems. Or if you're using Mac, then you will have a terminal software available. You can use that to connect through SSH,
Okay.
either of the one.
We can download it from online, right?
Yes,
As
yes, pretty much. You just say putty download,
okay.
and whichever non-commercial link it comes, use that and download and install.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to use this key, and then I'm going to ask it to open. Now let me log in as Ubuntu. Now it has authenticated. So now I'm logged in remotely. Still my virtual machine is running in the AWS environment. Now I have logged in remotely, and now I'm becoming a super user, and I can do anything and everything. So hope my screen is visible and legible. Are you able to read my screen, or do you want me to change settings by increasing the appearance? Okay, let me do that. Is it
But
better? Are
let's
you able
see.
to?
So how do we get that key that you said? Could you explain that I might have missed?
When I was creating an instance, okay, let me minimize this. When there are multiple ways to create and get the keys. And when I was launching the instance, it was asking name of the server, which operating system, which instance type, and what is the key pair that you want to use to log in. I did not have any before, so I created a one. Now I've created, I can say for this new instance which I am creating, I'm going to use this key. And how did I get it? When I created a new key pair, it actually downloaded to my local system automatically, the private key. And I downloaded it is in my downloads directory in my laptop. So this is how. Or alternatively, if you have already created, I can go back to this dashboards and I can see there is one key pairs available. You can go to the key pair, and this is the key. It's an RSA type generated. Key ID is this. Once I select, I can see the action. You can import the key pair. So if you're going to import key pair, and it is going to ask what is the key pair name, and you can import this and you can take it. You can use a third-party tool to create your key pair also, and you can use that also. But this will, if you are, or once you are creating, at the time of creation, please download, when you are downloading it, keep it safe. Will you be able to generate the private key again for the key pair created? No. So that private key needs to be provided whenever you wanted to access this instance. And I can go back and check what it is, but will I be able to download again? No. If you have created key pair using some other tools, then that you can import into the AWS. It will import the public key here. Private has still to be there. Manage tags. You can add a new tag for this, but that is only tagging. So this is how you can create a download. And once you have downloaded, you should keep it safe. If you lose it, you cannot create it again. Probably you can create another key and then assign that key to your instance. So it's an administrative task, but yes, I just shown you how to do that. Okay, cool. Now going back to Putty. So I'm root here. So it says that earlier when I was trying to install, it was not installing. So I'll just say apt install -i. Let me say Tomcat. It's not able to find. Let me say HTTP D2. It is not able to find. And we tried to install nginx. Nginx is available, but it is saying after this operation, it is supposed to download. An additional space will be used. But here it is not able to find this IP address from where it can download. Okay, fair enough. It also gave me an Apache 2. So now the Apache 2, it is able to find it from the repository. Which repository it is looking for? It is looking for the repository maintained by the Ubuntu. So you'll be able to install only what Ubuntu has in its repository, or
So,
you need to have your own packages to install. If you are created your own application, then you will have your own installation method or a deployment method. You can use that and deploy your own application. Yes, please. Someone was trying to ask something.
yeah, so why we need a putty? So generally we have a instance machine, so we are directly install the Apache Tomcats and other things. So we are directly start in the instance. We are generally editing the port and customization the port numbers and this Apache. Why we need to putty actually right now? Why we need
Okay.
the putty?
Okay. Um, okay. If I don't have putty, I will not be able to log in remotely.
Okay.
But can I connect to? See, if I don't have putty, at least I need to have a application that is alternate to putty, which will enable me to log into the server remotely. Every time logging into the console and working on the console is going to be tedious. And I need to log into portal every time if I want to connect to the instance. So then this is my easier way. I don't even have to log into AWS console. I can directly access my server from my local desktop or laptop. So if you have a team of 100 people spread across regions, then are you going to ask them to log into the AWS console and then connect to then you need to provide them listing. It's like GUI. So here it is a direct, like how you are remotely logging into your on-prem server from your home. You can connect to the cloud server also from your home. For that, if you are using some other tool, you continue to use that. It need not be Putty. Putty is generally used, and I also use Putty, so I'm just demonstrating using that. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Now I have installed Apache 2. I want to see the status, systemctl status, Apache 2. It is active and it is running. So it has, when it is running, that means we can access it. So we have enabled port 80 and port 443, HTTP and HTTPS. And whether I'm able to, because it is running on this host, I can access it with this host IP. The host IP is nothing but 172.31.12.37, which I have got it from the prompt. So it is not. So that means it is not running in port 80. So cool. Is it running on port 8080? No. So how do I identify in which port this is running? Any guess? Anyone? Yes, no, maybe. Apache is active. I have installed it, but I'm not able to access it. I don't know which port it is running. Any guess on how do I look at where it is running and how do I access it? Actually, I have not enabled. So now let me go back and see the status again. Okay. It is starting Apache 2 service and started Apache 2 service. Now let me curl again. 88 is not responding and 80 also is not responding. But I have allowed 443 for the external. So locally I'm not able to access it. Now let me try it from my browser. How can I do that? I can go back to my console. I can look at my dashboard. There's one instance is running, and this instance has a public IP. I can copy this. So this is local IP, private IP, and this is the public IP. I can copy this and I can say, try to access this. Let us see what is the response it gives. This site cannot be reached, refused to connect. So now, how do I troubleshoot? I tried HTTPS. Let me try HTTP because both I allowed to this. HTTP is coming. I'm able to access the Ubuntu homepage is coming. Only HTTP is enabled for Apache 2. When I installed Apache 2, it has opened up only port HTTP port. And if you don't want this, it gives an information that you should replace the file index.html that is available in var www.html index.html. So if I replace that file, then now I have the web server. I can go ahead and implement my application. Web service is available. I'm able to access it, but I'm not able to access it internally. It is running on port 80, but port 443, it is not running. So that's the reason it is not able to. Let me give HTTPS again, the same IP. It says refused to connect. It is either checking the connection or checking the proxy and firewall. So I can still go back here. I can go to the instances. I can go to the security. And in this security group is enabled. Inbound rules, I have enabled 22, which I am able to log in. I have opened up 443. I have opened up port 80. Port 80, I'm able to access because I got the page. But port 443, I have opened up, but Apache 2 has not opened up the port 443 for itself. So that's the reason it is not able to connect. Okay, cool. So now let me copy this and let me go back to the console. Easy. It's an easy operation why I'm using like software like Putty. So now I'll just say this. I'm here. ls index.html, cat index.html. This entire page is what we are seeing. Okay, cool. Now let me change this index.html as index.html1. ls no page. Now let us see what it is responding with. So we are able to access only non-secured page. It is giving me the index.html. It is listing because there is no index.html or there is no index.jsp or ASP. So it's not able to show the page. It is showing the listing of that directory. Now let me say echo. Let me echo This is my Apache page. Sorry, and let me output this to index.html. So cat index.html. This is my Apache page. Now let me refresh. This is my Apache page. So I can just go ahead and implement my web application using this Apache service. How much time we took? We started the virtual machine probably in minutes. We configured it. We allowed traffic. We logged in remotely. We installed Apache 2. We opened up the page. Maybe less than 45 minutes overall. But would that be feasible if we are going to do it in on-prem? I would like you to think about it. This is the power of cloud. Rather, I would say this is the power of AWS. Because this was introduced to us by AWS first. Assume that this was available 23 years back, 2004. I think it's 2002 or 4. We could get servers like this. I can tell whatever configuration I want, I can run. I can use it. Now, if I go ahead and install, I have the bare metal. I got the bare metal. Over that, I installed operating system, which is Ubuntu. Now I have installed Apache Web Services enabled. Install my application, application will run. Suppose if my application is containerized application, then instead of installing Apache 2, I will install the container runtime and then run a container. I will be able to access this. And now I can ask for a virtual machine. Mine is a free tier account now. I created in front of you only. But will this be charged for me? It will be adjusted with my credits. So this is how we create virtual machine. Virtual machine is one of 250 services. Overall, AWS at this point of time provides 250 services. Probably they might have added one or two. The last I saw is 250 in the list. And EC2 was one of the first services that they introduced in 2004. I think 2003 is SQS and 2004 is EC2. And after that, 250 services they have introduced. Any queries? Any questions? This demonstration is basically to understand how easy. Now, do I need to log in to create a virtual machine? No, you don't even have to log into the AWS console. Instead of that, we can also install AWS client in our laptop. For example, in my laptop, I have installed AWS client. I don't even have to log in into this using the GUI, but I can use it from my command prompt. For example, from my laptop itself, I can use the AWS command, which is going to help me to connect to with my account. So I have already logged in, which I logged into my another account, which is a commercial account. But AWS is the client. Like how you use copy command, how you use delete command is AWS command. AWS command is a command line tool. It says AWS options command, subcommand, parameters. I can type AWS help. Okay, cool. This is the help page. So it uses base 64 and so many commands are available. One of the command object, the second parameter is the object, and so many objects you can create. So we can also look at AWS help options. But let us go back and see, do you have an option to create a instance using the AWS? Yes, we can. We can create. And if you look at here, you do have EC2 option. So AWS, what object you wanted to deal with or what resource you want to deal with, EC2 and help. So here for the EC2, these are all the commands available. Allocate hosts, accept address transfer, assign private IP address, allocate address, assign IPv6 addresses, apply security group, assign private NAT gateway address. Even in a command line, you can create a virtual machine and whatever options you wanted to use. So here, if you look at it, you can say create. So create is an option that you have to create the virtual machine. So I can say, instead of EC2, I can say create help. So they have made this so simple. And if you really spend time, you can learn it. There are so many. It looks like so many, but for example, if you want to describe, it is about describe address transfers, describe bundle tasks, describe capacity, block extension history. Same, describe capacity, describe flow, describe IAM, instance profile associations, describe hosts. Okay, cool. In case if I have any hosts, I can also say describe. I'll just say HOSTS. If there are any hosts running, there are no hosts running. But I've connected to my another account. There are no hosts running in it. If I'm connecting to this, then I will. So let me say AWS login help. Yes, it is showing. I can connect. So there is an option to connect to this. So basically login to what? So it says AWS login help. There's no login help. So how do I connect? How do I log into my account? Basically, you have some here account. So it's not login, it is AWS account help. So this is going to help account. So accept primary email update, delete alternate contact. Whatever is related to the account, you can do this. So list regions for that particular account. If you want to disable a region, you can disable a region for that. Accept primary email update, start primary email update, put the contact information. You can use the AWS command to even actually change your account information. So, which you can do it any which way using the console. I don't deny. Let me minimize this. Let me go back here. Let me click here. And then, okay. So I can do any changes here in the account, but I can do it using the CLI also. So the second option that I have to connect to or to operate my AWS is AWS CLI. And the third option that I have is the console. This is AWS console, Cloud Shell. I can click here. AWS is going to provide me a shell and I can use this. It is going to create preparing a terminal and I got my terminal here. I can use this terminal and it is AP South 1. This is the terminal I received, Cloud Shell. So what is the command I'm going to use here? AWS I can use. Whatever I'm using in the CLI, I can use it here within the GUI itself. So I can close this. If I close this, basically this is also a virtual machine, temporary, created for our request, and this is free. And you can use this, but you're not expected to store any information on this because this is temporary. Moment you close, it's gone. So the third way that I can access my resources or operate my resources in my account is the Cloud Shell. So I can use console, I can use Cloud Shell, I can use remote login, or I can use AWS command line interface, CLI. These are all the ways that are available to operate my resources from my account. Once it is created, you can also create an instance by command line also. You create there, come back here and see it will be running. Use putty to log into that. If it is a Windows server, you will be using RDP to log in. Putty won't help. Putty will help you to log in remotely to only shell environments, either Unix or Linux. Any questions? Any queries? Are we good? Yes, no, maybe.
That's fine.
Okay.